Ming Yang is a Chinese intelligence officer who moved to New York City in the 90s. There, he started the biggest car theft gang in the entire history of America. They specialized in stealing luxury cars specifically. Usually, if the police cannot find a stolen car, they will at least find a piece of it. For example, they might find the remains of its body after the thieves take its parts. They find some trace in the end. But Yang and his gang stole thousands of cars without the police finding any trace of them at all, as if they disappeared into thin air. So where were the cars going, and what brought this man, Yang, from China to America in the first place? Why would a Chinese intelligence officer steal cars in New York City? You will know all the answers if you follow the story. So let's dive right into it. New York City was and still is one of the biggest cities in the world. According to rankings, it is considered the richest city on planet Earth. It has the largest number of wealthy people. In every corner, you will find a millionaire, and in every street, you will find a billionaire. Naturally, these wealthy people buy luxury and expensive cars that match their status. So New York was full of these cars. Around the year 1999, a huge wave of thefts started targeting these luxury cars in New York City. This wave was massive. Imagine that 48 cars of this high class were stolen in less than a month and a half. The theft operations happened as fast as a rocket, and they were quiet operations without any alarms or noise. The thief would break into the car quietly, start it, and take it. The gang did not focus on a specific area to target in the city. No, cars were taken from everywhere, from malls, from underground parking lots, and from side streets. They did not leave any place alone. The strange thing is that all these cars never appeared again. Usually, a large percentage of stolen cars are either found, or maybe their parts, or at least their bodies are found, because the thief will most likely take it apart and sell it as spare parts in the market. The body of the car itself is thrown in an abandoned place or even in the street. So the police usually find some trace of these stolen cars in the end. But the cars that this gang stole, the police could not find any trace of them. No spare parts, no body, nothing at all. It was as if the car disappeared after it was stolen. So what were these thieves doing with the cars after they stole them? Where were they taking them exactly? This question confused the police. After thinking and searching, they said maybe the gang takes the cars and exports them outside the country, moving them to other countries. The only place that was suitable for exporting such a huge amount of cars was the Brooklyn port in New York City. So a team from the New York police, specifically from the Auto Theft Investigation Department, went to this Brooklyn port. There, they conducted investigations and surveillance for a long period of time, but they did not notice any suspicious activities related to this car gang. Here, they felt they were dealing with a large organization, maybe a gang belonging to the world of organized crime, aka the mafia world, a gang with high capabilities. But in reality, the person responsible for all these operations was not someone in the mafia, and he was not even a local person from the country. He was not American. This person was named Ming Yang. He was a Chinese man. The biggest surprise was that he was an intelligence officer in the Chinese military. He was the primary person responsible for stealing thousands of luxury cars from New York City. During his career, he made an amount of $40 million. Keep in mind, we are talking about the year 1999. This means if we calculate its value by the value of money today, taking inflation into account, we will get an amount closer to $75 million. Can you imagine this number? All of it was just from stealing cars. So how was Ming Yang able to build this gang and execute his operations with this level of hiding and professionalism? To know the answer, we must first learn about his past. Ming Yang was an intelligence officer in the Chinese military, and he was discharged from service in the year 1990. After that, he moved to the city of Shanghai. This city is considered the commercial center of all of China. Like New York, it is considered one of the richest cities in the world. It is not the exact level of New York, but it has a large number of wealthy people and businessmen. So naturally, there was a big demand in the city for luxury and expensive cars. But these cars were not sold in China. The brands that are considered the most luxurious in the world, did not have dealerships in China. Here, Yang saw an opportunity he could exploit. So he went and contacted the mafia gangs and the underworld in the city of Shanghai. He offered a business deal to the leader of one of the gangs. He told him, "I used to work as an intelligence officer in the military, and I have experience in smuggling matters, how they happen and how law enforcement fights them. So I can bring you cars from outside and you can sell them here through your network." The gang leader liked the idea, especially since cars in China are expensive. This means you can bring a car from outside worth $100,000 and sell it in China for $200,000. You sell it for double the price. It was definitely, certainly a winning business, especially if these cars are stolen and will not cost them anything except for the cost of the theft itself, which is of course much less than their real value. He agreed on the deal with the gang leader on the basis that they would divide the profits between them at a 40 to 60% ratio, and on the basis that the gang leader would put up capital from his own pocket to fund the operation. So he gave Yang $500,000 to form his gang and start executing his operations. The target was New York City. Ming Yang knew that New York was the best city where he could get all types of cars he wanted, and the quantity of these cars was available there in a terrible amount because of the number of wealthy people in the city. So it was the best place they could target in the entire world. Yang took this $500,000 that his partner gave him and traveled to New York City to start his project there. From the beginning, he started using his previous military and intelligence skills that he learned from his job. He entered America with a fake identity. He entered under the name Kenny, and he was acting the role of an immigrant who came to struggle in the country and try to build himself. Of course, America is a country of immigrants, so it was not a very strange thing. Yang's goal in the beginning was to blend into society, to make people feel he was one of them, a normal person who does not raise suspicion. So he used an old Nissan Altima car that looked like it could barely move on the street. It never showed that he was someone who had money or a person different from others. From the beginning, Yang brought a person with him to help him, the man who would be his right hand, whose name was Chow. The first task before Yang and his companion, Chow, was to find a warehouse, a building to use for storing cars and preparing them to leave the country and be shipped to China. But this warehouse had to have certain specifications and conditions. First, it had to be far from any police station, and it had to be in a quiet area where not many problems or crimes happen. This means an area where law enforcement and police do not gather, a clean area from suspicion. This thing is very difficult in New York City because it is considered one of the cities with high crime rates. After weeks of searching, Yang and his companion Chow found the suitable warehouse. Now they wanted to rent this warehouse, so they went and opened a fake company. A company that exists only by name, just a cover face with no real activities, so that if an investigation happens on the company in the future, the investigation will not lead back to Yang. He separated himself in a way that keeps him protected even if things suddenly turned for the worse. Now, for Yang to start the operation, he had to make a team for himself, and this team had to be close to him. So he went and hired Chinese assistants he trusted to work with him in the warehouse directly. So he made the people directly around him all Chinese people he was sure of and sure of their loyalty. The first thing they did in the warehouse was make it appear as if it was a food storage warehouse. They brought boxes and crates of food and put them in the front so that as soon as anyone looks at the warehouse, they believe it to be a supply and food warehouse and that basically this is a food company. Cars would never cross their mind. Most of this food they brought was canned or dry, so they could leave it in the front for a long time without needing to change it or mess with it at all. They also installed a surveillance system and cameras around the warehouse building, and they kept every corner of the street under their watch. With this, they completed their preparations and prepared the warehouse. Now they became ready for the next step, which was stealing the cars. By the way, we should mention that Yang did not have any experience in stealing cars, and he did not want to put his hands directly into the theft operations themselves. This means he did not want to go and steal the cars with his own hands. The idea was to look for a person who had experience in the field and make him work for his benefit. So he started going to garages and car auctions and getting to know people. After a period of searching, he found the desired person. This person was named Dean, and he was a professional thief in the car field. Yang met him at an auction for totaled cars, cars that had strong accidents and could not be repaired. So they sell them in auctions and take their parts as spare parts. They met at this auction and got to know each other. Yang told Dean that he wanted to employ him and make him manage the theft operations. This meant that Dean will be the one responsible for the thefts themselves, either stealing the cars with his own hands or hiring people under him to work together. Surely, from his experience in the field, he knows other thieves he can employ. As for Yang, he had no relationship with these thieves. He only deals with Dean. So Yang wanted to distance himself to the maximum possible degree from the theft operations themselves. He wanted to manage the operation from above, from far away. Dean had a friend in this profession, a person named Mario Lopez, and he trusted him greatly. Mario was even more skilled than Dean at stealing cars. It's enough to know that the first person Dean thought of when Yang offered him the subject was his companion Mario. So he went to him and told him, "Look, the situation is like this. I am dealing with a person ready to buy any car we steal, and he can handle it." Of course, this thing is tempting for a car thief. The hardest thing in this field is to get rid of the car and profit from it. So if a ready buyer comes to them willing to buy even before they steal the car, this for them was like a gold mine. Mario, Dean's companion, told him immediately, "I am with you." Mario did not work alone either. He goes and opens the car, bypasses its system, and prepares it for theft. But he brings another person with him to steal it, letting him take the car and put it in a hidden place far away. So now, clearly, we have a chain of people. At the very top of this chain, we have Yang. Below him comes Dean. Below Dean comes Mario. Under Mario's management is a group of thieves to whom he throws the work that does not need intelligence or skills. After the car is stolen, Yang has under his management the warehouse and the warehouse workers, who are all Chinese or at least Asian people Yang trusts completely. In this way, Yang isolated himself at the top, far from the dirty work. He does not steal cars with his hands. He lets those below him handle this job. So no one knows his identity or his shape except the closest people to him. In this way, he protects himself to the maximum possible degree. And all these things is surely brought from his experience as a former military intelligence agent. When the plan became clear and the structure of the organization and the method of work were established, the time came to move into execution. Yang gave the order to Dean to move on the theft operations, and he told him to target cars of specific types, all of them of course luxury and expensive cars. Dean moved his companion Mario, who started operating the network of thieves under him. They went to target the places where rich people are usually present, like luxury malls or residential streets that have luxury houses and even sometimes paid parking lots. The theft operation itself all depends on Mario's capabilities and his skills. The man was talented at this job. He could steal any car in front of him whenever he wants and wherever he wants. The matter was as easy as drinking water for him. When they find the suitable car, Mario approaches the door and does not break the lock, because if he breaks the lock, the car's computer will shut off. If the computer shuts off, he will not be able to start the car. So instead of breaking the door lock, he would break the window glass. After that, he enters normally through the window opening. He always had a laptop with him. This was one of his most important skills. He knows technology and how safety systems work in these cars. So he connects the laptop to the car's computer and starts playing with the car's programming and modifying it as he likes. He was an expert and understood what he was doing. He would change its system and make it accept starting with a normal copied key. He no longer needed to bring the original key to start the car. Imagine that the level of his skills in dealing with the programming of these cars, especially cars from expensive brands, was high to the point that he could finish this entire operation in less than a minute. So that is it. After he finishes his work on the car and disables all the safety and protection systems in it, he brings one of his followers and lets him take it. After the follower takes the car, he goes and puts it in a luxury place, for example parking lots in one of the expensive neighborhoods, and puts the car they stole among the cars present in these parking lots, all of which of course are luxury and expensive cars. So this car they stole will not be unique among these cars. It will not have a prominent appearance. Why were they doing this thing, you might ask? Because these expensive cars usually have a GPS tracking device planted in them, and it could be in any place. It is usually a hidden device. This GPS device is supposed to be able to determine the location of the car in most places of the world. This means wherever you go, the police will get you unless you disable the device. So Yang had given an order to the thieves working with him that after they steal the car, they park it in these parking lots. After that, the thief gets out and scans the car with a device that detects GPS devices. When he finds the device, it is pulled from its place, disabled, and thrown in a far place. But the device might have already been activated. This means maybe the car owner discovered it has been stolen quickly, so he went and activated this GPS device remotely and then went to the police and reported the theft to them. So the thief leaves the car standing in its place in the luxury parking lot so that it blends with its surroundings and leaves it for a period of 2 days. If the car stays in its place during these 2 days, it means that the police are not looking for it, or at least do not know where its place is. So the thief returns and takes the car while he is reassured that no one is chasing him. Of course, all these were instructions from Yang himself. This man was a genius, and his work in military intelligence showed its results. Now, if you think the matter ends here, then you still do not understand how the mind of this man works. It is an intelligence mind of the first degree. Yang used to order Dean to tell his small thief to bring the car and park it at a distance from the warehouse, a street or 2 streets away. The idea was that he did not want these small thieves to know the location of the warehouse. So no one knows the location of the warehouse except Dean and his companion, who were responsible for managing the thieves. After the thief leaves the car at a distance from the warehouse, Dean comes and takes the car to bring it to the warehouse. But he has one last test to make sure that the police are not chasing the car. You might say, is this not enough? How many tests must he do? This is why I'm telling you, this person's mind is a pure intelligence mind. He would make Dean drive the car around the warehouse, walking in a circle around the place. If any car is driving in this same circle, turning around themselves, it means they are definitely following him. The surveillance operation happened in 2 ways. The first way was the surveillance cameras they installed outside the warehouse, using them to watch the street, and they could know through them if there was a car chasing Dean. The second way was a different car that drives and turns in the same area and watches the situation, and those inside it see if there is a car or suspicious people in the area who could be from the police or law enforcement. After Yang feels that the situation is safe and there are no risks, he calls and gives the order for the car to enter the warehouse. This means the layers of protection that put on this operation were something crazy and clear planning on an intelligence level. After that, when the car is finally in the warehouse, the work becomes between Dean and the Chinese team, the team that Yang trusts, and all of them are close to him. The Chinese team's task is to prepare the car for shipping. They want it to reach China in the best shape, as if it is just came out of the dealership. So they do their checks on it and check everything in it. If anything needs repair or adjustments, they work on it. They might even change all the locks of the car, program the computer all over again, and prepare the new keys for it. After the car is ready and becomes in a perfect condition, they move to the next step, which is shipping to China. They bring shipping containers to the warehouse and put the cars inside these containers. One container can fit more than 1 car lengthwise. After they put the cars in the container, they measure the weight of the container and make fake papers saying that what is inside the container is food and supplies, and they write in the official papers amounts whose weight matches the weight of the cars. So they produce fake papers, but organized ones that no one suspects, especially since this fake company of theirs, which they use as a cover, was made on the basis that it is a food company. Okay, now after the shipment leaves the warehouse, where does it go? Does it go to the port immediately? No, of course not, because Yang knew that the police would think of searching the ports and shipments and watching them after the theft operations they execute increases. So he said said, we must ship the cars from the farthest port possible. First, they were moving these containers to the state of New Jersey, which is the neighboring state to New York. There, the container moves from the truck to the train. This train walks along the country until it reaches the state of California, meaning the other side of the country, the farthest place possible from New York. Now, Yang was not doing all this loop just to avoid the police. California was actually also closer to China because it is on the western side of America. This means two birds with one stone. Over there in the California port, these containers that contain the cars are shipped on the basis that they are food containers. But after that, there is an additional layer of protection. The ship on which the shipment is loaded is not going to China directly. It is going to another destination. But on the way, it meets another cargo ship. And secretly, they transfer the car containers to the second ship. The second ship takes the containers to China. The owners of the second ship know the real cargo inside these containers. They know they are cars, and they even have papers containing all the details. The types of cars, their number, their price, everything. In this way, Yang continued to manage his gang for years. During 5 years, Yang and his gang succeeded in stealing thousands of cars from New York City, and the police were confused, unable to catch them or find evidence against them at all. Yang was completely hiding himself. Despite the large number of cars and the many millions they made, the demand for these cars in China did not stop. On the contrary, it was increasing more and more. Yang could not cover all this demand. So to increase the rate of car export, they started targeting additional places. One of these places was car showrooms. Of course, car showrooms can provide an opportunity that no other place provides. You can steal more than one car from them in one strike. Yang gave his orders to Dean and his companion, Mario, to target car showrooms. So Mario went to one of these showrooms and made himself appear as if he was a customer coming to see and try the cars. While he was talking to the showroom owner, he noticed the place where he puts the car keys. It was a box fixed on the wall inside the manager's office. The next step was that Mario thanks the showroom owner and leaves. A few nights later, he returned at a late time after working hours closed. He broke into the showroom, entered, and went straight to the manager's office, specifically to the box that has the keys. He took the keys of the cars that were present, all of which were cars of the luxury expensive type. The thief followers were waiting for his signal outside, so he gave them the signal, and 7 of them entered after that. He distributed the car's keys to them, and each one took a car and went in a different way from the others. All this operation happened in less than 3 minutes. Although the alarm went off and the electronic report went automatically to the police department, by the time the police responded and came to the place, Mario and his followers were already gone with the wind, carrying their new cars. But one of these 7 cars, something unexpected will happen to it. An accident will happen. This accident will make a big problem. When the police came to the accident scene, they knew immediately that this car was stolen and reported. So they caught the thief who was driving the car and took him for investigation. And after a little pressure on him, he decided to turn on his friends and cooperate with the police immediately. He told them about everything he knows. He told them about Mario and he told them about Dean. So the police decided to form a tracking team of several investigators and track Dean because they understood from the small thief they caught that Dean is the one managing the operation. So they kept tracking Dean for a period of time. And in the end, he led them to Yang's warehouse. They parked their cars at a distance from the warehouse and started doing surveillance operations and seeing what happens in the warehouse. Little did they know that those inside the warehouse were doing reverse surveillance on them. Do you remember Chao, Yang's companion? He was the one responsible for the surveillance, and immediately he noticed the cars of the investigators who were watching their warehouse. So, to be honest, it was not the investigators' fault because they were not expecting that they would face a former intelligence officer on that level. So when Yang knew about the matter, he did not get stressed or confused at all. On the contrary, he was ready and prepared for something something like this. He had prepared this work and operation happening in the warehouse in a way that makes it possible to disappear in minutes. Of course, the investigators would not raid the warehouse except after some time, after they watched the place and gathered the largest possible amount of evidence. During this period, of course, Yang did not bring any new car into the warehouse, but he had a few cars in the warehouse and he had the devices and tools they use in adjusting and repairing cars. So he had to move all these cars and all these tools out of the warehouse while they were under surveillance. He brought a few trucks to the place and started loading the cars and items in them in batches. He was bluffing as usual that he was moving food because they were outwardly a food warehouse. In this way, he took out all the cars and tools that were in the warehouse right in front of the eyes of the police, who were still waiting for the evidence. They did not know that the evidence was walking right in front of their eyes because they did not realize that Yang and his gang knew about them and were watching them. Yang emptied the warehouse completely of the important items that belonged to their work. When the police came the next day to continue their surveillance operations, they noticed that no one enters or exits the warehouse and there is no movement at all. They were surprised. After a period of waiting, they decided to raid the place. When they raided it, they found it empty with nothing in it. Here, they knew that the gang defeated them. Of course, during their surveillance period, Yang never appeared in front of them. So until now, they did not know his shape, his identity, or anything about him at all. Here, they decided to go back to the person they knew, who was, of course, Dean. At first, they thought of arresting him, but then when they thought about the matter, they decided to go back to surveillance again. They stayed watching for a period of time in the hope that they would catch the whole gang, or at least catch the largest number of them. Also, they wanted to know where these cars go because they were still confused, unable to find any trace of them at all. During their surveillance operation of Dean, they took permission from the court to wiretape his calls. They used to hear in many of these calls the same questions. Are the agents still watching? Did they stop surveillance? When will they return? Questions like these. And always Dean did not know the answers. The investigators immediately assumed the people who asked these questions are Dean's partners in the operation, the people who were in the warehouse, the people who escaped right in front of their eyes. After 6 months of surveillance passed, finally an important person called Dean. This person was named Kenny. Of course, we know that Kenny is Yang's fake name. Kenny told Dean, "I am back." He told him that he has an order for 260, and he did not mention what the 260 was exactly. This person named Kenny was trying to speak in codes, as if he knew they were monitored. The investigators had a strong suspicion that this was the gang leader, this guy named Kenny, and that he wanted to start theft operations again. What the investigators did not know is that Yang actually had a fear that their phones were monitored, which is why he was trying to use codes in the calls. He decided to use burner phones, which means phones he uses for a little bit and then throws away so the police do not track his number or location. He ordered all his men to change their phones and use burner phones, meaning every period they changed their phones. This thing tired the investigators greatly because to wiretape any number, they need permission from the court. So every time one of these guys changed his number or phone, they had to get a new permission. But actually, how could they know their new numbers after they changed them every time? The secret was that they also wiretaped their families. For example, with Dean, they were wiretaping his wife's phone. So when he changes his phone, they can immediately discover his new number through his calls to his wife. After they discovered Dean's new number, they took permission from the court to wiretape him. And then through Dean's calls to his partners, they were able to discover the numbers of the rest. The operation was tiring from more than one side, especially from the side of court permissions, but it was worth it and they were hoping to achieve something big. Here, investigators started to get ahead of Yang for the first time in the game. He was ahead of them by a step the whole time. The worst thing was that his assistants were not always as careful as him. We are talking about the Chinese people close to him, and on top of them, his first partner, Chow, who was not taking enough care. He was sometimes even talking on the phone about, for example, where they were going to have dinner tonight. Things of this this nature. This made tracking them very easy, and the investigators, of course, took advantage of this information. So they planted a Chinese police officer in the restaurant where Chow and Yang always used to go. For the first time, finally, they were able to catch a close look at the face of the person who confused them all these past years. The Chinese police agent who was embedded in the restaurant was also able to hear their conversation. He heard a conversation between them about a new warehouse they intended to rent, and he knew the location of the warehouse. The investigators immediately moved to watch this warehouse, but this time they learned from their first lesson. They will watch it in a different way. They did not want any of their cars to be present in the place. They did not want any presence of the police, so they would not be exposed. What they did is they fixed surveillance cameras on the buildings surrounding the warehouse. Cameras that expose every corner of the place to them. This means they learned from Yang and reversed his method on him. They were even able to put a GPS device on one of the containers that was going to the warehouse to be filled with a new shipment. In this way, they know exactly where these cars are going. For the first time, the situation reversed and control became in the hands of the police. Yang knew nothing this time, and he continued his work normally. Every day he brings new cars to the warehouse and even invented new ways to steal more. One of the smartest ways was stealing cars from paid parking lots. So the car owner goes to these parking lots and there is a guard and a gate. So he takes a ticket and enters, and when he leaves, he pays for the period he used the parking lot for. Parking lots like these are supposed to be safe because they have security guards and gates. So usually in most cases, car owners leave their keys with the guard because these parking lots get crowded and many times they need to move some cars or change their locations. For example, if a car is inside and other cars are blocking it, the guard can move the cars and open a path for it. Mario Lopez, Dean's companion, made a strong deal with one of the guards of these parking lots. He told them, "We will give you $500 for every car you allow us to steal." The guard, of course, his salary is low and $500 at the time had a higher value than today. So taking all this under consideration, he saw this as a great opportunity. So he agreed to the deal. Now they can, in one strike, steal a large amount of cars present in these parking lots. They agreed with the guard on a specific time. At this time, they came and took the keys from him, and after that, they tied him up and left him thrown on the floor of his room. Of course, they did this thing so no one suspects that he is cooperating with them. After that, they took a respectable amount of cars, all of which, of course, are expensive and luxury cars, and left the parking lots with them. After some time, a person came to the parking lots and saw the guard in his state, tied up and thrown on the floor. So he called the police, but by the time the police arrived, the thieves were at the warehouse already. But wait, did we not say that the thieves, after they steal the car, park them in a far place and wait 2 days to make sure that no one follows the car? Unfortunately, in any dangerous profession or job, a person starts to get used to it and loses his caution with time. It seems this is what happened to these thieves. They brought all the cars they stole from the parking lots straight to the warehouse without knowing that one of these cars had a GPS tracking device in it. The local police, the police of the area to whom the car owners complained, started trying to track the signal, and one of the policemen reached the warehouse with his car. This policeman was from the local area police. He did not know about the investigation that was happening. He did not know that there were investigators watching this gang at this exact moment. So he got out and went toward the warehouse, and he was intending to enter normally. He wanted to know what is happening in this place from which the car signal is coming. He did not expect that this place has the biggest car theft gang in all of America. The investigators on the other side were watching from the cameras. As soon as they saw the policeman, they knew that their operation would be ruined, and they had no way to stop him before he reached the warehouse. When the policeman was about to enter from the warehouse door, the workers who were inside suddenly came out running. Surely they saw him from the surveillance cameras. The investigators, while seeing the scene in front of them, they knew that they must intervene now and immediately. That is it. This will be the moment to raid the gang and arrest them. There is no second chance. So they arrested the workers who were in the warehouse. But Yang, whom they knew by the name Kenny, was not present in the warehouse at that time. They knew that if the news reached him, he would escape again. To their best luck, they had put a police unit to watch his house. This means through their surveillance of him during the whole past period, they were able to determine his house location. They had put police forces to watch him from far away the whole time. When they finally raided the warehouse and arrested the workers in it, they gave the police forces that were watching Kenny the order to move and arrest him directly. They actually arrested him on the night of that day while he was leaving his house. After they investigated him, they knew his real identity, that his real name is not Kenny, but rather his name is Ming Yang. They learned about his past in military intelligence in the Chinese military, and they understood why this man confused them all these past years. But unfortunately, they could not determine where the cars were going because the raid operation happened faster than the time they wanted, and they did not have a chance to track where these cars go or where they are sold exactly. In the end, Yang confessed that he was guilty of the charge of racketeering corruption in enterprises. I do not know exactly what this charge is, but it seems they could not stick the theft charge on him because he was not stealing the cars with his own hands. He was buying them from the people who steal them, even though those who steal the cars were his followers. This means his charge in a way became corruption instead of theft. The theft charges was taken by his followers, Dean, Lopez, and the small thieves under them. So he was sentenced to a period that is considered relatively short for what he did. They sentenced him to 10 years only. This is even though during the 10 years before the period he was working, he was able to steal thousands of cars, and they estimate their profits reached more than $40 million. The value of this money today equals $75 million, meaning a massive wealth. Imagine that they did not recover a single dollar of this money because he was not keeping it in America. They kept it in China. So it seems Yang is the winner in the end. Up to here, we have reached the end of the story. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you for your time. If you like the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. That would mean a lot, and see you in the next video.